Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking into a new database, Gale Legal Forms. This resource is filled not only with Texas legal forms, but also legal articles and a legal dictionary and so much more information. It's very well organized and also very easy to use. Let's take a look. As usual, let's start from the beginning. From our homepage at countylibrary.org, click on eLibrary on the top menu bar, and then click on Research Databases. From here, we'll scroll down to Legal, then click on Gale Legal Forms. As usual, you will need a library card to access these databases. This is the main page of the Gale Legal Forms database, which, as we can see, contains a lot. Everything in this main section here, all of this, as you can see as we scroll down, is going to change depending on what we click on. So I'm not going to talk about what's on this first page just yet. However, there are several sections on this page that are going to remain consistent throughout this site. There's the side menu bar here, the most popular legal forms searches section here, the legal forms search bar here, and this series of links here at the top. We have Home, About, Frequently Asked Questions, Search Help, Allstate Subscriptions, and Skip to Main Content. I'll explain all of these in turn. Let's first look at the side menu here, which lists Allstate Subscriptions, Legal Definitions, Tax Forms, Attorney Directory, External Links, Law Digest, Legal Q&A, Legal Life Articles, and Helpful Topics. It's a short list, but it encompasses everything you'll find on this website, so think of this as the main menu. When you click on something, that's where the middle part here will change. But, as you can see, everything else around it remains the same. We'll go over the specifics of what this menu has to offer in a little while. Let's scroll down now and take a look at the most popular legal form searches section. If we click on one, for example, Wills and Estates, we'll see a list of relevant forms and their corresponding control numbers. If we were to click on one of the links, it will take us to the page with the form, but we're going to look at that more later. Notice briefly over here that a small menu has appeared. This allows you to narrow down the forms that are displayed. Right now, we have 45 forms listed here on 2 pages. But if we were to go over here, for instance, and click on Letters, we can see now that it is narrowed down to 8 forms. I'm going to click Home at the top of the page here, so we can go back to the page that's a bit more familiar. We took a look at the main menu and the most popular legal forms searches section. Let's now take a look at the search bar here at the top. While you'll see this search bar on every page of Gale Legal Forms, this box will not search the entire website. It will only search the legal forms. So, for instance, if you want to search for power of attorney and click Search, what you will receive are all of the forms related to power of attorney. Note again the small menu here that will help you narrow down your search. Finally, let's look at these links at the top. As we've seen, we have a link to the home page here. About We'll clarify a few of the specifics about the resources offered in this database. First and foremost, while you can find many legal forms here, it's very important to contact an attorney if you have a complicated legal issue. This page goes on to describe where the forms are from, what types of forms are included, and how some forms may need to be modified or should be filled out with the help of an attorney. This page also mentions the Gale Legal Forms Attorney Directory, where you can find local attorneys. We'll go over this later. Scrolling back up, let's look at frequently asked questions. This page contains a variety of basic questions about what this database provides. For instance, why there are different versions of some forms, why some forms must be printed out and filled out on paper rather than electronically, what court samples are, and when it's possible to make changes to a form. There's more frequently asked questions on this page, of course, and I'd recommend looking through them before using this database. Let's scroll back up, and this time we'll click on Search Help. This is also a useful section to read before you begin, as it will give you some helpful tips on how to find what you're looking for when you're using the search bar. Finally, the Allstate Subscriptions link just pulls up a page that says Texas Legal Forms. And when you click on this, it will take you back to the home page. It seems a little redundant to have that link and the homepage link, but if there were more state legal forms included, for example, Louisiana legal forms, that would have appeared there. Before we continue on to explore the contents of the main menu, I'm going to click on the final link at the top, Skip to Main Content. As we can see, that link just helps you skip down past the search bar and everything else. In this case, the main content begins with Welcome to the Texas Legal Forms Library, which wasn't far down on the page to begin with. So when we skip to main content, it just automatically scrolls down for you. Now that we have explored each of the permanent sections, let's focus our attention on the main menu and what each section offers. The first link is Allstate Subscriptions, which is the same link as the one you saw up here. Once again, if you click on it and then click on Texas Legal Forms, you'll find yourself back on the home page. Let's now take a look at what is on the home page. Scrolling down a bit further, we can see the Browse by Main Categories section. This contains a list of all the categories of legal forms offered by this database. You can limit these categories by scrolling up and selecting one of the letters to browse by the alphabet. Once again, this is limiting the categories, not specifically the forms themselves. For instance, there are only 3 sections down here that begin with the letter G: Gifts, Government, and Guarantee. So, if we are to click on G up here, all we'll see then are Gifts, Government, and Guarantee. You can click on Reset to see the full list once again. Let's now take a look at the Sample Searches tab. This shows examples of form categories that are more specific than those we saw in the Main Categories tab, but it is not a comprehensive list. For example, the main category of leases is subdivided into multiple categories. Going back to the main categories, I'm going to click on Leases to follow it through. What we're seeing now is a very long list of subcategories. I'm going to click on Commercial. And we are presented with 13 legal forms for commercial leases. Clicking on any one of these will take you to the form directly. Let's click on the first one just as an example. Here we can see the form's name, the category, the state. In this case, this is a federal form, so the state is the United States. We can also see the control number, as well as 3 download options. We can download it as a Microsoft Word document, we can download it in rich text format, or we can download it as a PDF. Below, we also have a short description of the form, as well as a preview, so you don't have to download it if you're unsure if it's the form you need. Let's go back to the home page. There's one more link on this page that we need to explore. Complete Legal Forms online. Gale Legal Forms allows you to fill out some of its forms entirely online, and the forms available for that are listed here. Clicking on any one of these links will take you down to the section listing the relevant forms. Let's click on one to see what it looks like. Depending on the form, you will see a list of questions which takes you through the process of filling out the form. Once you've filled out all of the boxes for each of the sections, you'll reach a section where it says Verify and Submit. Submitting will only take you to a page where you can download the completed form onto your device. It will not submit your form to any agency. Let's go back to the home page. We have looked at everything on this page, so I'm going to move on to the second section, Legal Definitions. You have 2 options in the legal dictionary. 1, you can click on any of the letters to browse here alphabetically. Clicking on Y, for example, would give you all the terms defined that begin with Y, and clicking on one of them will give you the definition. Going back, you also have the option to search for definitions rather than browse. If I type in wills, I receive the following results. However, it's important to note that if I type in the singular will and click search, I receive many more results. Unlike Google, this search is very specific. So typing in wills will definitely pull up something different than just typing in the singular word will. A way to narrow your results further is to select exact word match. Let's click search again to see what this will do. As we can see, we are left with 0 results. This is because the word will on its own is not defined here. But, for example, the term mystic will is. And here we see our definition. The next section is called tax forms. You'll notice that this includes both federal and state tax forms for every state, despite this being a Texas Legal Forms database. However, if you were to click on any one of these links, you would find that they link you to an outside website that will direct you to additional tax forms. For example, if we click on Alabama, we'll be redirected to the Alabama Department of Revenue website, which will provide links to many different forms. Let's go back. Before we leave this page, I want to point out this link to a resource which will help you choose which federal tax form applies to your situation. Here we see listed 1040, 1040A, or 1040EZ. As we know, this year's tax forms have been combined into the 1040 and 1040SR, which comes together now in the packet. While Gale Legal Forms is a wonderfully comprehensive resource, it is always wise to use your best judgment and double-check that you have the correct form, as updating a database this large can take some time. Let's move on. The next section is the Attorney Directory. This provides a list of attorneys by state. It is important to note that these attorneys are not offering their services for free, and they are not affiliated with Gale Legal Forms or their parent company, U.S. Legal. Let's click on Texas to see where this takes us. After a brief explanation of the benefits of using an attorney, the page prompts us to choose an area of expertise. Clicking on any one of these links will produce a page listing the firms in that category, as well as the city from which they operate. Let's click on Family Law to take a look. Clicking on these names will take you to the company website. Scrolling back up, let's move on to external links. Gale Legal Forms is not directly providing the legal forms for these four categories: motor vehicle and registration forms, vehicle title and registration forms, various forms from the Internal Revenue Service, and Texas state tax forms. So, they have provided links where you can directly find them from the government websites. All but the Internal Revenue Service link will take you to Texas government websites. Let's now click on Law Digest. Once again, Gale Legal Forms provides both a browse and search option. You may see some overlap between this Law Digest and the legal definitions section that we previously explored. While this Law Digest does include definitions, you will also find articles on the historical context of the term as well as specific cases. You may even find brief biographies. Let's click on A to take a look. As an example, the legal definitions entry on adoption will define adoption within the space of a paragraph. However, if we click on adoption in the Legal Digest, it will include definitions, but you'll also find articles on the historical context of the term as well as any specific cases related to the information. As we can see, this article is much longer than what was offered in the legal definition section. I'm going to move on now to Legal Q&A, which I personally think is the most interesting section in this entire database. We can see a very long and diverse list of subjects, but let's click on one to see what it looks like. We'll click on Landlord-Tenant under Abandoned Property. What we see now is a list of questions asked by real people across the country. While these are very specific to their personal situation, the advice offered in the answers can be a very good starting point to answer your own legal questions. Because the answers can be long, you have to click on View Answer, which will take you to another page that, as we can see here, shows both the question and the answer together. Let's continue. The Legal Life Articles section is relatively short. We have birth, relationships, marriage, divorce, parenting, employment, owning a business, estate planning, aging parents, and death. In each section, basic legal information and the occasional legal form is included as it relates to the subject matter. For example, if we click on the birth article, it explains the legal definition of birth and provides an overview and an example of some of what is legally required and possible relating to birth and birth certificates. The last section of Gale Legal Forms is helpful topics. Once again, we see quite a long list of topics. This section differs from the legal dictionary because the explanations are much longer than the typical legal definition entry. It also differs from the Legal Digest because it does not look into the historical context. However, legal cases are frequently mentioned to support the information in the article. These are very helpful overviews of what are often complicated subjects. As an example, let's click on DUI. As we can see, this is quite a bit longer than the legal definitions section would offer. However, it doesn't delve into the history much like the Law Digest would. Let's go back to the home page and briefly summarize what we've covered today. We looked at the main static sections of the Gale Legal Forms database, including the main menu here, the most popular legal forms searches below, the search box, and the links here at the top. Furthermore, we explored in depth the 9 sections provided by the main menu: the home page with the legal forms, legal definitions, tax forms, attorney directory, external links, the Law Digest, legal Q&A, legal life articles, and helpful topics. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave comments or questions below. See you next time. Bye.